the money, like I said, would never ever be enough. But you have to make it enough by cutting down your expenses. There are a lot of things you buy that if you really sit down and calculate very well, you will discover that you are actually the one harming yourself. You are actually the one stopping yourself from growing. I know family members will come. Some of them will blackmail you emotionally. I know unforeseen situations will come. I know all of this. Something you least expected will happen. Parking's law, right? I don't know if I'm pronouncing the name correctly, but then the law states that people's expenses will always rise. Will always rise to cover up their level of income. As your income increases, your expenses will also increase to make you stay in the same position. Staying in the same position meaning that your net worth will always remain the same. It's not gonna be enough until you make it enough. And how do you make it enough? You need to learn how to manage what you have. That's of resources. God has created so much resources on this earth. All you have to do is to learn how to manage it, and actually the more you are able to manage, the more you can get. Today I want to talk to you about how you can leverage on the word discipline and become a billionaire. You can actually leverage on that and become a billionaire. For a lot of people, I've had over the time ask me question, I want to start a business but I don't have capital, I don't have money, I don't have people to support me. So how can I get started? Now this is an opportunity for you to listen to this conversation today. I'm going to be revealing to you some powerful tips on how you can leverage on discipline, actually, because sometimes it's crazy when I look at some certain simple thing as what we call capital, right? Leverage is a simple thing, just the way you might just look at it like it's so simple, but then if you look deeply, you understand that there are so many things you can actually leverage on, such as discipline, right? There are so many. Like the last time we discussed the 4 D's, the 4 powerful D's you can actually leverage on to become a billionaire, which is, I think we mentioned decision, determination. We also mentioned discipline as well as desire, right? So those are the 4 powerful D's. If you've not watched that video, you might want to go back and watch. Today we are single-handedly bringing out discipline, and we want to see really how can you leverage on discipline as a hack into the wealth system. Once again, my name is A. Kabir. If you are watching me for the first time, please, we are doing this for 1000 days, and this is the 43 of our live video sessions. Okay, now I like to start this session with 2 ideas. You should have this at the back of your mind. Okay, 2 ideas on how actually you can improve on your income, what you are receiving right now. And if you are not even receiving anything at all, we are coming to that. But if ever you are receiving any amount of money, either as a salary, wages, you are already in business, or whatsoever it is, as little as the money might look like, have 2 things in mind. There's a way you can actually increase that income, okay, without even necessarily having an increase in your pay. One of the things that pushed me to make this conversation today actually is the fact that a lot of people will ask you, how can I start a business when I don't have enough money? What I'm earning is actually not enough to be able to start a business, right? And this complaint I observe is just like everybody have the similar complaint, right? So I want to tell you today that have it at the back of your mind that whatever you are earning today will never ever be enough. Do you know how I know that? Okay, before I use myself as an example, I just want you to look around your environment. The money people are earning actually is not the same. Even in your place of work, we have different positions for different earnings, different tasks for different money, different payment and all of that. But did you notice that everybody complains the same thing? The money I'm earning is not enough. Somebody is earning 50,000, he said the money is not enough. Then another person is earning 100,000, the money is not enough. Okay, another person is earning 150, 200, 250, but the money is not enough. It's never gonna be enough. Okay, myself, I started my journey after my NYC some few years back. The first job I took as a teacher in primary 3, I was earning 10,000. I shifted to another school. I think I was earning 14,000 something, 14,700 monthly. Then I shift to another school. I'm good at that, always improving myself. Then I was paid 23,000. I think I was just 3,000 behind the head teacher. I mean the principal of the school, because the principal was taking 25. I was smart enough to go for what? 23, so just 2,000 ahead of me. Then the next school I went to, for some of you that know Niger State, New Horizon was the last school I taught as a teacher, which was one of the top most powerful school I've ever seen, that used projector for even primary 1 students. Okay, probably some of you have gone through university, but you've never seen your lecturers using projector every day. But there in that school, you must have to present your lessons even as in nursery using projector and your laptop. Your lesson note has to be written in soft copy and all of that. Well, I'm not marketing the school, but it was actually one of the best. So I was paid 49,515 naira. Okay, I think that was back in 2018-19, right? I was there. Do you understand? So what I'm saying in essence is that you can see how I was shifting from 10,000 up to 50,000, but guess what? The money was not enough. Now I became a lecturer. To top it all, I became a lecturer and I received over 100,000. I'm not going to mention the exact amount, okay? But the money was still not enough. So this is a practical example, and like I told you, most of the things I come here to teach you is what is actually happening to me. I'm very conscious when it comes to finances. I learn a lot about business and entrepreneurship. That's why I'm telling you today that I might possibly be one of your best, most sought after entrepreneur and business coach, which of course I'm working towards that, and I'm already seeing myself like that. Do you understand? It doesn't matter if you don't see me like that, but I have the dream so chalked on my head and I'm going there, right? Okay, now let me tell you something. You might want to actually be patient to listen to some of the information I have for you today. I'm always trying to be so natural. You can see I don't have plenty editing. I don't use iPhone. Even maybe I can afford that. I can afford the iPhone actually, but I just think I should make do with what, because I'm going to be teaching you something today that is related to some of these things I'm saying. Okay, I can afford to use iPhone, but I'm not using it. There's a reason why. If you are patient enough to listen to the end of this conversation, I'm going to tell you why, and possibly you might copy the same thing. Now, 2 things I told you to have at the back of your mind is, there are 2 basic ways you can increase your earnings, even if at your place of work the money did not increase. Number 1 is living below your means. Do you understand? You have to cut down. You have to cut down whatsoever you are earning right now. The money, like I said, would never ever be enough, but you have to make it enough by cutting down your expenses. There are a lot of things you buy that if you really sit down and calculate very well, you will discover that you are actually the one harming yourself. You are actually the one stopping yourself from growing. Whatsoever you earn, you just eat it. Everything, you just consume it. And that's actually the problem. All through my journey, all these experiences I'm sharing with you, I found out that my problem was even unnecessary spending. Yes, I know pressure will come. Yes, I know challenges will come, which is always the problem. I know family members will come. Some of them will blackmail you emotionally. I know unforeseen situations will come. I know all of this. Something you least expected will happen and you have to spend. And for most of us, we are caught in this trap. Like, we keep thinking, how can I don't have enough? But you're always gonna not having enough, except you intentionally want to have enough. Do you understand? So I realized that, look, no matter how, looking at the scenario that the next person, and even you that I'm talking to right now, do you know that if they should increase your salary from 50,000 to possibly 80,000, you still will not have enough? I don't know if you understand. Okay, let me relate with you. Okay, the second one is by looking at multiple sources of income. Like, instead of just staying back at one source of income, you possibly might want to go into another thing, doing something else that could actually earn you more income. These are the 2 things you should have in mind, and these are the only 2 ways you can actually increase your income. Now, one thing I'll be deliberating more today is how to cut down, because for a lot of people it is actually much difficult for you to get other sources of income. You know, getting more sources of income is actually difficult, but it's easier what you are earning right now to actually leverage on it. So instead of you saying it is not enough now, tell yourself before we continue that money is much more than enough. You just need to cut down your expenses. You need to lower your expectations. You need to stop buying some things with emotions or impulses. Because for most people, they don't plan, and you also need to budget. You also will need to budget for whatever you need. And before I will continue, always also have it at the back of your mind that although I'm going to be discussing that extensively in this video, but then you must always plan to spend at most 70% of the money you are earning right now. Okay, I'm going to discuss that extensively as one way which you can use to actually leverage, discipline yourself, because it takes a lot of discipline. That's why earlier, before I start this presentation, I was battling with what should I title today's presentation. Should it be related to saving? Should it be related to discipline? Should it be? But at the end of the day, I realized that look, it takes a lot of discipline. Why? Because for you to be able to increase your income or lower your expectations, delay gratifications, you possibly might need a lot of discipline, which is actually the problem most of us have. Okay, the problem is not that you don't earn enough. If Mr. A is earning 50,000, Mr. B is earning 100,000, and both of them said it's not enough, then you know there's a problem. And the problem is discipline. The same you that is earning 50,000, like I said, if the money should be increased to 100,000, you possibly will say you don't have enough. So what do you now have? Or what are you not having is discipline. So we're going to be using that discipline to actually in form of hack or leverage to discuss extensively on what we're about to discuss today. Now, maybe I forgot in the past, but today I want to activate that again. Like we usually have a saying for the day, usually a quote from powerful people, powerful business owners, entrepreneurs, and those who are already successful. So, and this today I'm actually going to be using a particular law. They call it Parking's law. Is this something Parking's law, right? I don't know if I'm pronouncing the name correctly, but then the law states that people's expenses will always rise. It will always rise to cover up their level of income. As your income increases, your expenses will also increase to make you stay in the same position. Like staying in the same position meaning that your net worth will always remain the same. Just as your income rises, okay, your expenses also rises with it, so that it can keep you in the same position. This is the trick now. Do you understand? Do you know that this law is so powerful that a lot of people have fallen a victim? I've fallen a victim in the past, but not anymore, because I became so powerful that I had to discipline myself enough to be able to understand, especially where my money should go to after making it, and what percentage of my money should go to, and where and why should it go there. Do you understand? The fact is, what you are not understanding is, if you are to be earning less than actually what you are earning today, right, you will still be comfortable. Do you understand now? If you are earning less than what you are earning right now, do you know some people lost their job and they are still fine? They are okay. Like seriously, you might be battling with a lot, but you are fine. Did you die? You didn't. So do you want to wait until you die in poverty? Do you know, recently I discovered that actually trying to be successful, trying to make billions of naira or billions of dollars, it's much easier and simpler compared to staying in poverty, not knowing what to do. Struggling to save some percentage of your money to be able to use to project yourself into riches is actually much easier than just staying back and eating all of what you have. I don't know how many times I should repeat some of these things, but these are facts and they are true. The earlier you begin to understand some of these tricks or some of these tricks, the better for you, and it will actually change your story in a lot of ways. Me that I'm talking to you today, I battle a lot with some of these things I'm telling you, but I learn and I discipline myself to follow. You must always spend, even in form of salary, in form of wages. You are a businessman, maybe the money comes once in a while. However the money comes, that formula must be applied. You must always spend only 70% of your money. Then the rest 30%, even that 30% has to be categorized. God will bless Dr. Olumide Emmanuel. I actually learned some of these tactics from him. And do you know, I was doing some of these things not like in form of knowledge, like not in form of I've learned it, but I was doing it uninformed. Like, do you understand? But as time goes on, it gets clearer and I get to meet people that teach me better. Do you understand? How I wish I have access to listening to videos like the one I'm making today that you are watching for free. And I was clever enough to be able to what? Implement some of those ideas I'm teaching you today. So the 30% that you must never spend, right? 10% can go for charity. 10% can go for investment, okay, like investment, and then another 10% can go for your personal development. I'm going to explain. Do you understand? If only you don't want, this man is commenting, he said, Idris said, AA Kabir, the network is very bad in my location here. Oh, thank you, well done, thank you. Don't worry, when your network is good, you can come back and watch. Thank you for always supporting us and always commenting on our live sessions. Okay, now the 30% you are not spending, 10% goes for what? Charity, you know, bless people. And the earlier you discipline yourself to start doing some of these things, the better for you, like I said. And that's the rich mentality. That's what we call, because for some of you, the only thing you know better is it is not enough. I told you earlier that you have to start making it enough. It's never gonna be enough until you make it enough. And how do you make it enough? You need to learn how to manage what you have. Actually, one of the powerful things I've listened to from Dr. Cosmos Maduka is we are all managers of resources. God has created so much resources on this earth. All you have to do is to learn how to manage it, and actually the more you are able to manage, the more you can get. That's why, like for example, some of you, if you are opportunity to have as little as 5 million naira in your account today, like you feel like the whole world has changed, and you become very nervous and uncomfortable until you spend the money, and you can't even, your brain will not think straight anymore. Why? Because you've not developed yourself to the level of handling that money, right? So you don't have the financial discipline or the capacity, the emotional balance to be able to handle that money until what? You develop yourself on it. And that's why you cannot actually have much, because you've not learned to be able to accommodate much. By the way, maybe you cannot even make much, but what I believe is that everybody is making what is enough to make you actually become a billionaire. Only that you don't have these management skills. Do you understand? You can't manage the resources in such a way that it multiplies. You only know how to eat. You eat everything. You eat the seed that is supposed to be able to produce your tomorrow. You eat everything. That's why you must stay in one position. Do you understand? Or even go worse. So what I'm saying in essence is that when I talk about discipline, actually today, I intend to relate it to three things. Number one is through learning. First and foremost, of course, I've been emphasizing on learning. You need to discipline yourself to be able to learn financial knowledge. That stuff is just like, make it your Quran, your Bible, your whatsoever religion you are practicing. Make it your second Quran. Make it your second Bible. Financial intelligence. If you are hearing this for the first time, go and start browsing. Go and start talking to AI. Get books to read on financial intelligence. Get people that are in business that understand the art of financial intelligence. One book I can confidently recommend to you for a starter, if you are in Nigeria especially, is the book of Dr. Olumide Emmanuel. The what we call the School of Money. Please get that book if that's the only book you can read. Books like Think and Grow Rich, books like Rich Dad Poor Dad, books like Think Like a Billionaire and Become a Billionaire by Scott Anderson. There are so many books, but what I'm telling you in essence is that you need to get financial knowledge. You need to understand how money works. You need to understand the language of money. You need to understand what budgeting means. You need to understand the art of savings. You need to understand so many things when it comes to finances. Otherwise, you are never gonna get enough money. Do you understand? You are never ever gonna get enough money. That's why it's very important that you discipline yourself to learn. Now, after disciplining yourself to learn, another thing you need to do is also to implement what you've learned. You have to also discipline. It takes a lot of discipline. I'm not going to be digressing much on these two aspects, but it's very important. Maybe we'll find another day for it. By the way, today's topic is one thing outside. I just picked one idea because I wanted to talk about, if you are ready to quit your job, how do you go about it? Those that are interested in quitting their job but don't know what to do because what they are earning is not enough, so they can't start a business, but they want to start a business. right? So, but this is just one topic out of all you need to be able to start your business. Discipline yourself to save. Discipline yourself to learn. Discipline yourself to be able to implement the ideas that are necessary to take you to where you want to be. You understand? Now, when it comes to the aspect of savings, like I said, you must be able to what? Spend only 70%. Take for example, if you are taking 50,000 naira as a take home, your paycheck, then 30% of it is 15,000. So what is left for you is what? What is left for you is what? If you take 15,000 out of 50,000, so you are left with, is it 35? I don't know if I'm correct. I'm not mathematically inclined. So, but whatsoever is left for you is what you are supposed to be spending. Do you understand? Now, by the time you are taking up to 100, 30% of 100 should be 30,000, right? So what is left for you is 70,000. Now you must discipline yourself. Whatsoever you want to spend the money on must be between that 70,000. If you are taking 100,000, whatsoever it is, just press your calculator. If you are taking $2,000, if you are taking $5,000 as a take home, whatsoever amount you are taking, right? Just take 30% of that money, and that 30% you are taking is the seed for your future, and you should never touch it. By the way, that seed for your future should be more. You should protect it. You should fight with all your life to be able to keep it much more than the 70% you are spending, because for the 70%, once you spend it, it's gone and it's gone. But for most of us, what we do is that we're going to spend everything. Possibly we'll be thinking after all the expenses, so what is left is what we should invest. And usually nothing is going to be left. Nothing is going to be left. So devise a means of taking your seed out first before you spend the rest. This is what billionaires do. Do you understand? Because they have to pay into their business, they have to pay into their staffs. Those are the things that matter to them. Those are the things that bring money back to them. So the rest is what they might likely want to spend, but in most cases they don't even spend it. It goes back again to the business. Do you understand? This is how they build empire. So where you are right now, I always tell people you can get started from there. And how do you do that? I'm just going to be taking this example of, okay, let's say you are taking 100,000. Is it $100,000? Is it 100,000 Nigerian naira? Is it 100,000 cedis? Do you understand? Whatsoever it is, your currency, doesn't matter. But let's assume you are taking 100,000. Then that 100,000, 30% of it is actually what? That's 30,000. So you have 70,000 to go and spend, right? So if you are taking this 30,000, like I said, we have to divide it into 10%, 10, 10, 10. 10 plus 10 plus 10, that's 30, right? So 10,000 naira must go for what? Must go for pure savings, right? You must go and save it. Now this 10,000 naira can go for investment, can go for savings, but it must have to, because like the 10,000 you might be looking at it that is too small, so it's not something you can just start a business with. So you might want to save it until you can have a substantial amount. We're going to deliberate also on how to make use of that properly. So another 10,000 should go for charity. This is very important. You must find a way to bless people. You must find it, because I believe that there's power in giving. You know, because the more you give, the more you are likely to receive. Not likely, the more you give out, the more you are likely to receive. Recently, one of my suppliers in China told me that a Nigerian has been found to be sharing money. They call it. She said they call him Nigerian chief. That he was sharing money in the airport, sharing 100 yuan for people. Anybody he meets, just give them 100 yuan. I told her that he's a businessman. You understand? He knows what he's doing. And don't be surprised that he will get multiple and multiple back from what he has done, right? That's just the magic. Sometimes you might need to give. You know, you have to give if really you want to get more. So you have to learn that habit. And for every successful people I know, they give. It's only poor people that don't give. Even they will blame the rich, that the rich are greedy, but they are actually the one that is greedy. You that is challenging somebody that is not giving you, what are you giving somebody to? Because you are human too. And you are supposed to what? You are supposed to be giving out something too. So don't blame people for not giving you. By the way, what I usually tell people is that why don't you blame yourself for not being able to help yourself first before you blame the next person? Let me digress a little bit, and this is very powerful. Do you know that my life began to change the day I stopped the blame game? You know, I don't blame even God for my situation. No. I first of all think about there's something I've done wrong, that something is happening to me. There's something I've done wrong that my business has not put through. There's something I've not done right for so thing not to happen. I just blame myself. I don't blame any other person for my problem. And for some of you that depend so much on miracles, don't. I believe in miracles, but don't. You should have less attention to it. Just do what is expected of you. And if you fail, do it again. If you fail, do it again. Don't blame anybody. Don't expect fast results. Don't expect miracle to happen just like that and you have it. Don't expect such things. And if you start to practice some of these things, then you realize that there's a lot you are actually ignoring. There's a lot of money you are leaving in the table by those your simple tactics of behavior. Do you understand? So start doing something. Stop the blame game. Get to work. Help yourself. How on earth should you be expecting somebody to help you when you just cannot help yourself? That's where the game starts from. So, by the way, that's a digression, but let's continue. So, in terms of your finances and expenses, like I said earlier, so you must have to, okay, let me give you a simple formula. Take, for example, there's what we call compound interest. I don't know if you have something like that. You invest your money in such a way that they give you the return on investment on monthly basis. You know, let me use this 10,000 naira as an example. You are taking 100,000. Well, maybe for most Nigerians that are living below or even in poverty level, you might be taking 50,000. Actually, today's presentation is meant for people that are below, either living average life or below average life, such a way that you can start right where you are by just changing your mindset. Stop thinking that what you are earning is not enough to help you. It's actually enough. It's just that you are not planning, you don't have financial intelligence, and you don't know how much you can use and leverage on that small amount. Okay, let's start with 50,000. If you are taking 50,000, which means that 5,000 can go comfortably on investment. You can save or invest it. The essence of saving, let me remind you again, that is for you to be able to what? Invest. So that you don't go and save and you go and cash it later to eat. You are eating your seed. So let me assume you are taking 5,000 and you invest it every month. For some of you, we're going to be using like 20 years as an example. If you want to invest 5,000 naira every month for 20 years, and let's assume that on annual basis, you are taking 20% return on investment on those your 5,000 on monthly basis. So by the end of, let me say purely, your 5,000 times 12 will be giving you 60,000, right? So 20% of that 60,000 at the end of annually will be giving you, that will be 12,000, 20%. So that will be 72,000 for the first year. Do you understand? It's little, right? But it's not little. Don't eat it. If you can do this consistently, I'm telling you, right now where you are, you can actually do a lot. For some of you, you save for 35 years or even more, and at the end of the day, you end up being broke and poor. You can't help yourself. I'm telling you that you can help yourself actually. Don't depend on the government. Don't depend on the job you are doing. Because once you retire, you become tired. And once you stop working because you are doing active job, your salary had to stop. Don't trust all of those, what do they call it? Retirement packages and all of that. I don't know what they call all of those things. But don't depend on those things because they can actually program your mind to make you suffer in the future. Do you understand? Now, what I'm saying in essence is that if you can invest consistently, I'm just talking about 5,000, you are earning 50,000, right? By the way, if you are not earning 50,000 right now, I think you have a problem. And your problem is very special. So you need a special attention. Perhaps you can chat with me. Feel free to come to my DM and I will give you some antidotes you might need to be able to get started. But I believe if you are a normal person and you are no longer in school, even if you are in school, you should be earning something like 50,000 monthly, right? That's what I believe. So if you invest 5,000 for the first year, you already have 72,000. Do you know that if you take this 72,000 back to the same investment, which means you are taking back both your profits, your return on investment, and as well as your capital. Do you understand? So you take it back and then you continue again. You didn't stop. You're going to be pumping in another 5,000 naira, 5,000 naira. Do you know that if you can do this for 20 years, at the end of the 20 years, you're going to be having over 13 million naira. At the end of the 20 years, you're going to be having over 13 million naira to yourself, purely as courtesy from that investment of 5,000 naira monthly. If you do 10,000, we have also estimated that you're going to be having nothing less than over 26,000 at the end of 20 years. If you do 10,000, if you do 15,000, you should be having over 45 to 46 million naira after 20 years. For some of you that are even working and you have kids, I think you should start planning to do some of these things. See, whatsoever you are earning or you are not even earning right now, I believe you can become a billionaire or at least a millionaire. Do you know, me that I'm talking to you right now, these are some of the tricks, these are some of the things I'm implementing and it's working for me. Don't be blackmailed. Don't use emotions to spend. Live below your means if you really want to be successful. By the way, what you do probably is to eat all that you have been earning and you just go and blame the next person that is not helping you. They don't eat all that they have. And do you know, it's amazing how most of the things I'm saying now, maybe perhaps you are watching up to this stage and it's not making sense to you. I have found out that one of the most difficult things to do on earth is try to convince somebody that is not financially literate, and you want to convince him about money or how to use his money. They feel like the first thing they will feel is, do you know how I'm suffering? Do you know what I'm going through? You know, they will start making excuses that will shock you. Do you know how? But the same you, if inflation should increase, like, okay, in Nigeria for example now, what you usually buy 5,000 before, I'm very sure that if you go to the same market now, you are not getting it. Even 15,000 you might have to beg. But let me remind you that your salary has not increased, but you are okay. Some of us have lost our jobs. Not me. I'm not having any job, so my job is my own work. Some of you have lost your job, but you are still okay. You didn't die. But when you were doing that work and earning that salary, unfortunately for you, you can't even afford to save the 10% we are talking about, or 20 or 30%. You eat everything. Now you don't have anything. Then what are you now eating? Stop telling me all the excuses. Stop it. You are the problem you have. Only if you realize. I know it is tough for you to believe what I'm saying, but if only you have brain, think about it. Think about it. Some of you, your salary might even increase again, but what you do is like the Parkins law, right? Because definitely you were managing your life before now. You were managing your life. In fact, you were comfortable, but once the salary increased, what did you do? You also increase your expenses, normally your desires, and some of the things that you were managing before, you no longer want to manage. You want a new car, you want to go to a new location, you want to rent a new house, you want to buy a new house. Don't do that. I told you earlier before this lesson that I can afford an iPhone, even how many, but I'm still not buying it. As little as this mic that can be using to talk to you, I can afford thousands of it, but I know the importance of saving the money I'm making and taking it back to the market. As little as 50,000, if it spend a month with me, do you know what it will come about after 1 month? Those are the calculations. If I can afford this kind of phone, this kind of environment, you can see me, I can see you, I'm talking to you, you are hearing me, I can hear you, and I want to make live presentation, do I have to have a studio? Are you not hearing me, for God's sake? For some of you that buy iPhone, you only use it to snap. Obviously, today's topic is hot, but I need to talk to some of you. I need to talk. Today is the second day we are having on our page, and I'm really prepared for a lot of people. If you are only going to be patient and continuously follow my pages, AA Kabir, share, like, subscribe, encourage me. Sometimes I get so tired before coming here, but I had to. I have promised and vowed to do this for you for 1,000 days. So what do you have to do for me? Just like, just subscribe, share, that's all. Comment, that's all. Okay? So please, leave that mentality that you don't have enough. You're never going to have enough. By the way, one of the books that made me realize that I'm always having enough. It's just that I don't have the right mindset to manage it. Is The Richest Man in Babylon. Go and get that book. George S. Clason has done a wonderful job there. Do you understand now? So I think I should end this session. Think investment. The 30% should never be spent. That's your seed. That's your future. That's your life. That's your life. Do you understand it? Right? So I believe this is clear. I jotted down some things. I don't know if I really look at them, but I'm not a fan of looking at things, and I'm not really good at it. But I believe I've done justice to this topic. If you really want to be successful, I'm telling you today that you already have more than enough. If you even know how to do it, you have access to a lot of money, what we call other people's money. I think I've done some videos some days back. But these things are interwoven, and we're going to be doing justice to them. One interesting thing I found out is that there's so much to discuss. Sometimes you see what I discussed yesterday does not even have a link with what I'm discussing today. Obviously, we might not have a link with the next thing we are discussing, but we are always going to be giving you value. If you obviously enjoyed today's presentation, help me to hit the like button, hit the subscription, make a comment, make it engaging, ask me questions. In the next presentation, I'm also going to take care of it. Thank you for having me today. We're doing this for 1,000 days. This is day 43, and see you tomorrow. Bye bye.